This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
I never wanna get used to the sound you whispering in my ear.
Hey friends, you're listening to the Cat and V Show. Pour yourself a juicy cup of tea, grab a seat, and get ready for us to dish. All right, we're back at it again, guys.
Hi. So we ended off last episode talking about V's wonderful experience watching somebody else shake their booty hole in front of her and this guy that took her to this place on their first date. So it just made me kind of want to talk about bad first dates or just first dates in general. I don't know. So I think that in last, I wanted to say last season, but this is the first season. But technically this is season 2 of the first How's That Working For You?
The spiritual season 2.
The spiritual season 2, yes. But How's That Working For You was supposed to be like a documentation of my shitty dating life that kind of abruptly came to an end when I met a really great guy.
It ruined our podcast, guys. Our podcast was going to be gold, listening to Kat's terrible dating life. But it got ruined by this new great boyfriend that she has.
Unfortunately, right? Yeah, but I did. I went through this, like, I call it my hoe phase after 3 years of being in a very serious long-term relationship with somebody that was very bad for me. So I did journal about some of these. Oh, I didn't bring that journal with me, darn. But either way, I will pull from my memory some of these terrible experiences I had with people. First one is that, like, I think that I can't remember which platform it is. I'm kicking myself for not bringing this journal because I was so detailed when I journaled. I wrote down like, which platform did we start talking on?
Oh my gosh.
Yes. It was that detailed, okay? This guy was like, I don't know what platform it was, but he was in town. He was from San Francisco, but was in town because of whatever. And at this point, I was kind of still like deep in the hoe phase, in the sense that, like, I wasn't looking for anything serious, right? So the fact that he was only in town for however long didn't really bother me. It was just like, whatever. His pictures were like, all right. I thought he was cute. We agreed to meet up somewhere in San Francisco. Can't remember where. Where was this? I don't know. We ended up at Jamba Juice, and he got me Jamba Juice. And then right after that, sorry, he was just like, wait, like, I need to stop by CVS to grab some things. And I was like, okay. Let's stop by CVS. He spends like half an hour long in the razor section, like looking for a razor, and then asks me, like, do you think this will work well? Do you think this will be okay? And it was just like, how did I end up here?
Wait, what was he getting the razor for?
He was in town for a few days and forgot to bring a razor.
Oh, I thought you meant, I don't know why in my head, I thought you meant that he was trying to get one for you to do your coochie.
Ew. That would be so much worse.
That was my first thought.
That would be so much worse. That wasn't even like a really bad date. I'm sure you have worse. Like, it was just like a really weird, awkward experience. And then was it you? Yeah, I think it was you. I had to text like 10 different people to like to get me out of this conversation.
Is that the one where I had to call you like, oh my god, Kat, I need help on my project, like, right now. Come, I need you now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just like, that was like, I just didn't want to be, because he was like, also like, I have no problems with someone being a little bit like chubby or whatever, but it was like, he was much heavier than his pictures, and he was really weird looking. Like, he was one of those situations where he just didn't look like his pictures. They were clearly,
so a little bitty catfish.
Yeah, a little bit of catfish going on, and I was just like super uncomfortable. That was like the first one that comes to mind. And That wasn't really long before I met my current boyfriend, though, so I can't really say that there was a whole lot more to that. I left and never talked to him again. I can't say that there were, like, tons of, like, terrible dates. I guess I got kind of lucky. You're the one that had just, like, the...
Man, I attracted creeps in college, and I don't know why. There's, like, okay, so there's the booty hole story, which is the famous story, right? The one that I always tell people, they're like, do you have a bad date story? I have a bad date story. If you want to hear that, listen to our Jeffree Star episode. I don't know why it came up in that episode, but it did. But, like, I had another, like, bad date, but it was a bad date because I was the bad date and I didn't mean to. So it's this really nice guy who I will call Jared for the purposes of this podcast. That's not his real name. Anyways, so I went out casual couple days with Jared. The first one, we went to a really fancy restaurant, and I, like, chose the cheapest thing on the menu, because of course I did. And he insisted on paying the whole bill, which I thought was weird, because I always paid my half for, like, all the dates that I went on, because I don't trust men, because I have abandonment issues. And because he paid for it, I insisted on taking him out for ice cream afterwards, because I didn't want him to feel like I owed him anything. But he wasn't like that at all. He was really nice. So we did, like, one more date after that, and we talked about meeting up again. And I was like, oh, this would be a great time to, like, I don't know, see if he's interested in making it a serious relationship instead of just, like, a date. Because I dated, quote unquote dated, a lot of men. I would, like, go to dinner or go to a movie, but I wasn't in a relationship with any of these men. It was just kind of like, hey, we're hanging out one-on-one, let's get to know each other kind of thing. So I didn't consider any of these guys my quote unquote boyfriend. And so when I brought up expectations with him, he's like, wait, I'm not your boyfriend? And I was like, wait, no. Well, have you been seeing other people? Kinda, yeah. And he was so heartbroken.
Wait, how long? Wait.
We knew each other for, like, 3 weeks, and we were, like, texting, but we had only met up in person. This was, like, our second time.
Oh, this poor soul. Okay, but this also wasn't your fault, though.
I look back, and I feel so bad. It's like, I didn't even kiss most of these men. Like, it was like, let's hang out one-on-one.
No, but, like, I think that this person probably just didn't have a whole lot of experience dating.
I felt awful. I was the bad date.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault because, like, very few people would, like, come to like the second or third date and expect to be the boyfriend.
If you're listening, quote unquote, Jared, you know your name, and I am so sorry. Again, I am so sorry.
How long ago was this?
Oh God, it was like a good few months before Michael and I were serious.
Wait, this was at Dominican?
Yeah, this was at Dominican. Oh, and there was this other time where I was accidentally dating a teacher at our school.
What?
I didn't know he was a teacher, okay? He looked like a student.
What? Keep going.
I met him in the school cafeteria. He was eating in joggers and a raggedy t-shirt. He looked like he just rolled out of bed. It was like 8 in the morning, and I looked just about the same. And we were the only 2 people in the cafeteria. So I sit down on a couple tables away from him, and he waves. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. I was like at school for like 2 weeks. I was like 2 weeks into being a freshman in college. Him and I start hanging out regularly. I mean, like, every day. We would meet at the library or at the school cafeteria, or we'd walk into town together. We made out a couple times. And then I asked him what his major is, right? He's like, oh, I'm in the business department. I was like, oh, the business department. Okay, so you're getting an MBA. And he's like, actually, I have a master's. Anyways, yeah, I found out he was a teacher. And I was like, is this even allowed? Wait, how old are you? He was apparently in his 40s, and I was barely 18. And it's like, dude, you look First off, I need to know your skincare routine, because you look flawless. Second off, you know how young I am. Because he wanted to go to a bar, and I told him I wasn't old enough. Oh my God. And he asked me if I had a fake ID. And I wasn't telling people in college I had a fake ID, because I did have a fake ID.
That's creepy as hell.
Right? And it's just like, oh my God. I was so turned off from men for like a week. Because I was...
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it was bad. And it was awkward every time I saw him and his man bun. No, that's probably why I thought he was young. He had a youthful haircut. It was bad. It was awkward. Oh my gosh. I also went out on a couple days with a security guard at Dominican. In this case, I knew he was a security guard, but he told me he was only 19. And I was like, oh, so we're the same age, right? We hang out a lot, and then he starts following me back to my dorm regularly. And it was just like, this is great. Who am I going to call for help if this gets out of hand? And him and I had never kissed. The security guard, we never made out or anything, but we did hold hands and walk together. A couple times he tried to get me to get into his car so he'd drive me somewhere for a date, and I was like, no, I'll take the bus. I'll meet you there.
How old is he?
He said he was 19, but I don't know if that's true or not. So, yeah, that got a little creepy. So I just started avoiding him, which was very difficult because he was a security guard there. And I would say 2 years later, when I was working at the community center outside of our school, in San Rafael, I was working at the community center, right? And we work with the same security department that Dominican did. And I actually became genuine friends with some of the security guards. And that's when I found out that this dude was lying to me about his age. He was in his 30s.
Ew.
And it's just that's nice. Grown-ass men wanting to go after a barely legal teen.
I have a story I can tell. I've told you this story before, but I'm going to tell it to you again. Before I met my big ex, Bob, so this was years ago, I met somebody at the gym up in closer to where you live, actually, very up north of where my hometown was. So an hour or two away. And because my family has property over there. Anyway, I met him and he really liked me a lot. And I was like, whatever. And at that time I was kind of manic, so I didn't really I kind of saw everyone as an opportunity to flirt. That was just kind of where I was coming from. He got very I think I told him that I had bipolar disorder right off the bat, because at that point I was telling people that, because I talked about this before. It's better to be upfront about it than not say anything at all. If you're serious about dating or whatever. Not that I was serious, I was just very, very honest about it. But either way, it escalates, whatever. It gets kind of creepy. He really bonded over the fact, because he thought that he had bipolar too, and he was like, oh my gosh, we both have bipolar, and you get me, and blah 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 blah. And I was like, all right, cool. I just wasn't as into him as he was into me, and it started getting really weird. And he was still at the time I was using Snapchat a lot, and he was still snapping me while I was dating this my ex at the time. We were in a relationship, and he got really weird. He was just what if I just feel so connected to you, and I want to be there for the birthing of your first child, and do you remember this story?
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, you don't remember this story?
Yeah, I do, but oh god, why?
Yeah, and then I told my ex at the time, the time boyfriend, about it, and he was just like, the fuck is this dude? And I was like, I don't know, but I don't know how to get rid of him. And he was just like, don't answer your snaps. And I was like, okay, true. I didn't answer them, but then they kept coming and coming, and instead of blocking them, I was just like, well, here, why don't you snap him back? And I gave it to my ex then boyfriend, and he snapped him back, and I never heard from him again. But he was really weird. He was obsessive, felt like he was heartbroken because I had moved on and wasn't dating him, and it was really weird. And it was just I never heard from him again, and he was just he thought I was the love of his life, and that was just odd.
So are you gonna have him in the room when you birth your first child?
Well, asking the important questions, I see.
Always.
No.
Do you have any other dating horror stories?
Oh my god, the tea.
The tea? I love tea.
No, I told you about this. Remember? He is the guy that I had talked to about in season 1 that was the in-between dude between my ex and it was it was the only person that I had gone on multiple dates with consecutively that I thought would turn into something more.
Yeah.
Before I met my now boyfriend. What happened was that I ended things with this dude, and I just like never really cared to look back because it was like he was an asshole to me, and it was all because I basically called him out for being manipulative and disgusting and blah 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 blah, and then he was like, okay, goodbye, and I was like, fine. And all this because blank. Like, that's what I said. Goodbye. And then he's like, well, I already said bye twice. I'm moving on. This isn't what I want. And I never responded to that. and then he says, princess, I want to see you. How are you? This is like 2 weeks later. More. Princess, I want to train you.
Oh, no. I want to train you. Oh, Lord.
Oh, no. And then it's like, princess, I want to talk to you. And then I just like, at that point, I was so disgusted by everything. I just basically said like, blank, you disgust me. I am not your princess. I was never your princess because you never treated me like one. You treated me well enough to manipulate me by threatening to leave me and then stop talking to me for days. I told you I would leave and never come back, and if you pulled that shit again, I wasn't lying. Blah blah blah. And I said more about him being slimy and blah 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 blah. And then I said, finally, I'm done. And then I blocked him. And that was it. But then it doesn't end here.
It doesn't end. Oh God.
No, it doesn't end here. Like, literally, it's been 6 months or even longer. I don't know how long it's been since this happened. Okay?
Okay.
You know, sometimes you're curious about the people you used to date. You just Google them, see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And I was in one of those moods. I find out. I see this, like, you know, those registry pages where you, like, get married. Like,
A wedding registry. Yeah.
he's fucking getting married to somebody. He's getting married to somebody.
I feel so bad for that girl.
Oh my God. And I read that like section in the bio of like how they met. They met like a month after we had like broken stuff off, right? And it was like,
oh my God.
they got married already, I think. I don't know, I haven't checked. Either way, they were supposed to get married November last year, which was like less than a year after I had broke things off with him. So they met like a month after, or even less than probably, after he had been begging for my attention, okay? Like, that was just, what? And I'm just like, you also married during a pandemic, when life isn't even real life anymore.
Good God. That is... Yeah, see, I think you beat me. Even though I saw a booty hole, I think you beat me, because nobody ever asked to train me. But at that, we'll call it for the day, and we'll see you guys next week. If you haven't already, be sure to check us out on social media. We are on Instagram at The Cat and V Show. Check out our other podcasts. Links for everything are in the description.
Bye.
Bye.
Want to help our show?
Consider donating to the Pull Up the Chair podcast network to keep this show and the others in our lineup going.
All donations are tax deductible.
Links with more information can be found in the description of this podcast.
Hello, I am Patrick.
And I'm Andrew. And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
And we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.